think I have all my ingredients.
Got a head start on your faro, Kaytlin?
Oh, what was that?
Did you get a head start on your faro?
It's still going.
We are live now, admitting everyone into the room.
Okay. Adele, I love the hat. Oh,
Thank you.
You look the part.
all right, Chris. What do you have on? What do you have on?
Yeah, where is she?
She was in the waiting room.
Oh. Why aren't you guys wearing a hat?
I think Riley has one upstairs. Maybe I can run up and get hers.
I hope her head isn't as big as yours.
No, it would look funny, but that would be the point at this point. Yeah. So what have you cooked with faro already?
Oh, I can't remember specifically. I've been plant-based for 3 years, so I've tried all kinds of grains.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You look like you're ready to go.
I also took the fork over knives cooking class. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, it's very detailed. It takes quite a while. So I was practicing my skills, which is, you put everything in little bowls before you cook, that thing.
Yep.
I did it.
Right now.
Oh, I forgot things in my refrigerator. Francine, did you remember your things in your refrigerator? I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Christine and Karen are not sharing their videos with us.
Oh, those weenies.
Yeah.
Unmute.
Right? Oh,
Video.
There they go.
there.
Yay! Where's Karen?
Right here, but there. I'm trying to get to the gallery view.
Oh, there is no gallery. Why is that, ladies?
How do you
switch? They're showing. You can't do it. You can't do it right now, Karen. Here it is.
Oh, there's Dell. Yay! Hi, Dell.
Oh, there it is.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Karen.
Hi,
Hi,
Francine.
Karen.
Hi, Del. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Very good.
Chris, is your kitchen outside?
No, but you said I could drink wine and watch you. So
you're doing
I'm in what I call my front living room, which is outside, with my wine. And
I have
birdhouse.
I have Crystal Light.
I have Chardonnay.
And then
I'm sure Karen has some wine. Yes.
No, Karen is not drinking.
Ooh. All right.
I'm trying to lose weight, and and so it's just not worth the calories.
I know. I hear what you're saying. I'd like to not drink it for that reason, but hey.
Yeah.
I decided that a pandemic is not the time to decide to stop drinking wine.
I'm in that camp.
That's fair.
It's a little bit for my sanity by 5 o'clock with my 2.5-year-old. So we deal with it after.
One has a larger wine allotment if they have younger children.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
I definitely agree with that. I think that's fair. How many so we get started in a minute? So everyone has all of their ingredients readily available. We're just chopping, boiling.
Is it? I don't have the whole about the chopping or anything or boiling. Did I miss that?
We're going to do all that together. So as long as you've got the ingredients, we'll walk you through the rest.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I gotta get a pen.
Okay. So once everyone comes back on the screen, Kaytlin, do you just want to get started, or should we wait another minute or two? Who else is joining us on our culinary tour today? Who have we not heard from?
We have Angie.
And Nicole.
Yeah, and Nicole.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm just watching.
Are you drinking wine with me? I'm just watching too.
Yes, I should go get a glass of wine right
Go
now.
get your wine right now.
We'll wait for you. We'll wait.
Oh, okay, I'll go get it.
You know, I might have just watched, but in the past year, I've discovered farro, and there's this, I only have one recipe for it, but I love it so much, I've made it multiple times. So I saw that you were doing this farro recipe, so I was really interested.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Glad to hear that. It's one of my favorites too. This is a go-to for me and my husband. So, and it's really healthy and delicious. So
Does
hopefully
I'm not sure. I'm sure I must have had farro without knowing it was farro. Does it taste like quinoa?
it's a little bit different. It's closer to barley. So it's
Okay.
like a heartier grain, if you will. Quinoa is really tiny and I think doesn't have quite as much texture as the farro does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Karen, what have
Farro's great
you?
too.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, what have you cooked with farro before?
It's called, I got it off the New York Times cooking, because Charlie Bird's, Byrds, Charlie Bird's farro salad. And Charlie Bird's was a restaurant in Manhattan, and they were famous for this farro salad. And you can change it up in terms of some of the ingredients you put in there. So it's very versatile. I'm gonna put myself on mute because the owner of the dog is coming to get them. So I'm gonna.
Mute yourself. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Rose. You're on mute, so we can't hear you, but thanks for joining.
Hi, I have dogs too, so I'm gonna make sure that they don't start barking. I don't think I've ever had farro, so I'm kind of excited to see what this is all about. The farro.
I've never
thing.
either, so I'm excited.
It looks like it has a lot of iron in it, which is good. So, and fiber.
Okay. I mean, I think we can get started. We're just going to do a quick intro and then we will get cooking. But Kaytlin, do we need to get anything started or prepped before we start or no?
Sure. I think the best thing to do, if you haven't gotten this part already, if you can grab a small or medium-sized pot and fill it with water, get that boiling. That's going to be our first step. And then we'll turn it back over to like a 50.
Wait a minute.
Water, Kaytlin?
Sorry?
With how much water in the pot?
So farro is a lot like pasta, so you don't necessarily need to measure out how much. As long as it's covering the farro, then that's enough. I fill the pot halfway and throw it in.
And typically, do you salt the water?
You
no?
can if you want. I don't for this recipe because we're going to salt it once it's cooked. But if you prefer to salt it up front or you like your food a little bit on the saltier side, feel free to add a teaspoon or so of salt to the water.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone has their pots, starting to boil water. All right, Kaytlin. Well, welcome to our culinary tour. This is not your traditional financial planning seminar, but we thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit different. You know, now being home, we're just cooking so much more. So I thought it was, and I'm constantly running out of ideas. So I thought it'd be great to do something different, cook with ingredients I've never cooked with before, and take a culinary trip in our kitchen. And one day we will use travel again, wine in hand, and with all of our ingredients. So thank you for joining us. And if there are any other future recipes or something that we want to do, we can always plan another cooking class. So thank you. And then Kaytlin Hall will now introduce our guest speaker, our chef, who will be teaching us this magnificent meal.
Yes, we are very excited for you guys to join us on our Mediterranean adventure. So even though we can't travel right now, we're trying to travel from the kitchen. But I actually grew up with Kaytlin's husband, Tucker. We grew up sailing, and I've known Tucker for probably 20 years. But Kaytlin is from Orange County, and although she's not a professional chef, she might as well be. If you follow her on Instagram, you can tell she cares about the food she makes, not only because she is eating it, but also because she is sharing with people she loves. Her blog, Sips and Tips, is all about traveling, cooking, and the places to stop along the way. She is a self-proclaimed foodie with a passion for travel, cooking, fine wine, and hoppy beer. So although we can't travel right now, Kaytlin is going to help us feel like we are on a Mediterranean summer vacation.
I love it.
Thanks, Kaytlin. That's quite the introduction. I feel like I'm not worthy of that. But thank you all for coming today virtually to this cooking class. I'm really excited to show you all this recipe. Like Kaytlin said, I love to travel when we're not in quarantine. And I pick up a lot of my ideas for cooking from different influences that I see, taste, talk about when we're traveling. So this one has Mediterranean flavors in general are one of my favorites, especially for summertime. And this recipe sort of came together naturally after a trip to Italy. And so I'm excited to share this idea with all of you. This is a really simple recipe. It's not meant to be intimidating at all. If you have questions, please feel free to shout them out as we go through this. And hopefully you all have a nice, healthy, delicious meal to enjoy at the end of this for those of you who are cooking. And for those who are watching, if you want to take notes, you're welcome to. This recipe is also on my blog. I can maybe put that in the chat later, the link to my blog, if you want to go back and review it later on. But yeah, with that, we'll get started. So hopefully you got the water boiling. How many of you are cooking right now, just so that I kind of know? Perfect, cool. So I'll just give you a brief overview of the steps right now before we actually get into all of it, so you know kind of how we'll be progressing. And then I see some of you have some wine, which is what I'm about to pour for myself too. I like cooking with wine, and when I cook with wine, I'm usually drinking the wine, not necessarily putting it in the food. So hopefully you can follow suit today if that sounds good to you. But what we're going to do first is we're going to get the farro cooking. And the reason for that is that this dish is not necessarily served piping hot, which is one of the reasons I really like it in summertime. So we're going to get the farro going. That's what takes the most time in all of this. If you shop at Trader Joe's, they have this quick cook farro, which is the perfect portion for this meal. If you just grab one bag of this, it takes 10 to 12 minutes to cook. That's the most lengthy commitment you have to make time-wise in this meal. Throw the rest of it together and let that cool down while we get the shrimp going. I heard someone is plant-based with their food. Is anyone else doing something other than shrimp or no shrimp at all with this meal? Kaytlin? Yes. Okay.
Oh no, I'm gonna cook with the shrimp for this meal.
You are? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So just wanted to say, if you were going to replace the shrimp with like chicken or a different protein, you may want to adjust timing and get that going a little sooner, since the shrimp does take relatively not a lot of time to cook. But yeah, if we're all on the same page, or we're not doing meat or protein at all, we'll just move forward with this. So we'll get the farro going. After that, while the farro is cooking, we'll chop up our tomatoes, cucumber, get that stuff ready to go. We'll talk about how we're going to season the farro once it comes out. And then at the end, we'll cook our shrimp. We'll plate it all together at the very end and serve it, hopefully, for dinner. So
I have a quick question. You said put the water in the pan, and do you bring the farro to a boil? Put it in now?
Yeah, so once your water is boiling, you can go ahead and add it in, and it'll take.
Oh, you have to wait till it's boiling.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's very similar to pasta. So bring the water to a boil, let the pasta cook until it's al dente, then you'll pull it off and it'll finish cooking once it's out of the water.
Okay.
Well, did you say 12 minutes?
10 to 12 minutes, yep.
Okay.
Yep, cool. Does anyone not have a quick cook farro? Kaytlin and I talked about this a couple minutes ago, but So it might take a little bit longer if you're not using one of the quick cooks. It could take up to 30 minutes is what it looks like.
If you're not using what? If you're not using what?
Quick cook Faro. There's two kinds that are marketed. It's like the quick cook is one that's, my understanding, it's been pre-soaked so that once you add it to the water, you're just finishing the cooking process. But if you don't pre-soak it, it could take a little bit longer in your water. So just keep tasting it and see when it feels like the right consistency to you.
Okay.
All right. So if we're ready to go, we'll go ahead and put our faro in the water and we'll get going with that. Set a timer for 10 to 12 minutes, watch the clock, and once it's out, again, taste it to make sure it's the right consistency for you. Some people like their pasta more done, depending on the bite that you like in it. Faro is very consistent, so you can pour it according to your own. Give everyone a minute to catch up with that. Yep. If you are drinking wine with this meal or hoping to pair wine with this meal in the future, I think rosé goes really well with this meal, as does white wine with seafood, which is kind of the stereotypical thing. But I sent out a couple recommendations, which I thought I would just chat about really quick. One of the things I do on my blog is I try to make sure I'm always focusing on small family-owned businesses when I travel or go to wine country or whatever. So all three of these wines come from small family-owned and operated businesses. So winemaker, husband or wife, and the other spouse is sort of the CEO, if you will. And so know that if you end up purchasing any of these wines, you really are helping people really live their dream with wine, which is what I love. So the first one, and this is probably the one I'm going to open for this meal. This is Bell's Up Winery. Can you all see that? And they're located in Willamette Valley, Oregon. If you're not familiar with Oregon wine, it is by far, I think, some of the best. They're known for Pinot Noir most often, and this is a rosé of Pinot Noir. It's a really dark rosé, and that's because it's been left on the skins longer as they make the wine, which is what gives it the color. But this is a fuller bodied rosé. So if you know that you like full body wines, this is one that you will probably like. Or if you're a red wine drinker for the most part and just sort of tiptoeing into the rosé white wine world, this is a great one to start with. Sarah and Dave are the owners and operators, winemakers, all of the above. They're awesome people, and they do trip to California, obviously, because I have a bottle here. So definitely would recommend giving them a try. If you're a white wine drinker, they have some really unique varietals of white wine too, which I'd be happy to share with you. Questions.
Oops, sorry. I forgot I was.
You all good? Perfect. If you want something a little more local, Beckman Vineyards is up in Los Olivos here, so just like an hour and a half north of me here in Thousand Oaks. This is a Grenache rosé, way different color, as you can see. This is a lighter bodied, forward rosé. So if you like more white wines and are just starting to learn rosé, Beckman is a great one to go to. This exact wine was actually featured in the magazine just a couple months ago, so it's definitely on the radar.
What is that winery? Yeah.
It's called Beckman Vineyards.
Beckman? Okay.
Yep. And all of their vineyard is biodynamic. So if you haven't heard of that before, it's basically a step above organic wine. It's made like, there's so much complexity to it, but it's all natural, no pesticides or anything like that. And they actually use the growing cycle like in cycle with the lunar cycle. It just said.
Ooh, how cool.
It's hugely complicated and I only understand this much of it, but they're awesome. So that's another really good one. And then if you're more of a white wine drinker, this is a great one, also from Washington. This is Armstrong Family Winery's North Avenue label. And this is a Riesling. And a lot of people assume that Rieslings are really sweet and syrupy. This is a dry Riesling. So this is going to be like really acid driven and very fruity, really good wine, especially on a summer day, hot afternoon. So if you're more of a white wine drinker, this is a great one to pair with your meal. And I'll talk about why each of these pair well with it kind of as we go. Sound good? All right. Okay, so if everyone has their faro cooking, what we're gonna do next is either pour yourself a glass of wine or you're gonna start cooking up your cucumber and your tomatoes. So what you're gonna need is about half of an English cucumber, which I've already cut half here. And the way I like to cut this is I sort of do it in little quarters. So you're going to do about a 1/4 inch slice and then cut it into little triangles like this. Right size pieces. If you have another way that you would like to do that, feel free. I just kind of like that look and that texture as we mix it into the faro in a few minutes. Does anyone not care for cucumber? I know sometimes that's like a hit and miss.
Oh, no, I love cucumber.
Perfect.
So Kaytlin, do you peel your cucumber?
I don't, not for this recipe.
Okay.
Yeah, leave it with the skins on. I like the texture that it gives once it all comes together at the end. But if you prefer skin off, you can totally do that too.
Yeah, just cut those in.
Cool.
You can just cut those first, and then we can cut them into corners.
And a lot of this is to your taste too. So that's how much cucumber I like, because I really like the freshness that the cucumber gives to this recipe. But if you're not a huge cucumber fan, or if you prefer more tomato than cucumber, mess with the proportions however you think is best. A lot of people like to think that cooking is an exact science, but I prefer it to be a lot more liberal with measurements and all that sort of stuff. So, cool. Cheers, everyone. This is the Bell's Up Rosé. You can see how dark it is in color. Sort of looks like whatever you've got in your glass there, Nicole.
Cheers.
Here.
That rosé, does it have a, I normally don't like rosé, but maybe that's just because I haven't had it in years, and maybe rosé is in a different place these days.
It is. It's become very, very popular in the past couple of years, I would say. And I think it's always been seen as sort of a cheaper wine, just sort of stereotypically speaking, but there are some great rosé producers out there now.
But are they sweet?
No, this is not a sweet wine at all. This is very fruit forward. So if you like a fruity wine, you'll probably like most rosés, but this has a good balance of acid to it too. So you're not getting like a syrupy, overly sweetened white wine. A lot of the times, the reason I choose to go to small producers too is they're very transparent about their winemaking process. They don't add any artificial sugar or anything like that along the way. Some big producers do, and so that's what sometimes gives rosé or certain varietals a bad rep. So,
Are these sulfite free?
a lot of the wineries still do use sulfites just as a preservative, but not as many as a lot of the big box brands will. But you are seeing more and more sulfite-free wine. So you just kind of have to pay attention to the label or ask the winemaker directly to figure that out. Because I know some people are really sensitive to it.
Yeah, I definitely am.
Yep. Yeah, I have a friend who's
Thank you.
allergic to sulfites altogether and can't really enjoy many wines for that reason, which is a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Everyone,
Rose, are you not cooking with us? Oh.
No, I didn't have time to go get all the stuff because my husband and I are in quarantine, so I would have to go to town. We're on our ranch up in Porterville, it's about 20 miles out of town, so I'm just watching. I'm
It's not very
happy.
convenient
It's
to
totally
grab.
fun. I love it. Next time I'll cook. Francine, you got to do it again.
We will for sure. If anybody has any type of protein or non-protein, I guess, just an ingredient that they want to make. but
I
we can
already
figure it out.
followed Sips and Tips.
Oh, thank
Nice.
you. That's great. All right. Everyone got their cucumber going?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so once you're done with that, you're gonna move on to your little heirloom tomatoes. I use heirloom tomatoes for a couple of reasons for this recipe. A, the color is really pretty, and so it looks really nice all tossed together with your salad, but they're also usually not quite as acidic as a regular cherry tomato might be. And the milder flavor pairs really well with the lemon and the other acids that we're going to be adding to this. So that's the reason for heirloom. But if you can't find those, don't worry about it. You can sub it with any tomato. We're really going for just fresh and vibrant. And when I cut these up, I usually do it in little quarters. So I half it and then I quarter it like that. Again, bite-sized pieces. If you've got some really little ones, you can just half them if you prefer. All right. What are some of the things you all typically gravitate toward cooking during this time? Any go-to recipes?
Chicken wings in the air fryer are easy.
Oh, nice.
An air fryer has been my best friend during this quarantine. Just throw it in and just leave it, and it's crispy, which is what Riley likes to eat.
Wow.
So it's perfect. Yeah.
I don't have an air fryer. I've never used one. I've heard great things about them, but.
Are you an Instant Pot person?
I do an Instant Pot. I use it a lot during the winter for soups, but I don't use it a whole lot during the summer.
Say hi, wave.
Hi,
Oh,
You
Lisa.
guys, wave to my roommate, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Very good, Lisa. Okay.
Adele, you have to back me up. You're an air fryer.
I love air fryers, yes.
That's cool.
My favorite air fryer is sweet potato croutons.
Oh, yum.
Oh, croutons.
Yeah. Mm.
That's
What makes it a crouton versus a fry?
Yum.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an air fryer. It's an air fryer, and it's a little square that looks like a crouton.
Okay, so maybe the shape. So you just cut it into a square and then you throw it in there with oil
Yeah,
and got it.
and they're
Okay.
crispy. They're crispy, like croutons.
all right. I'm gonna go check on my faro. It should be getting pretty close. Where's everyone at with that? Everyone's still boiling right now?
Well, my farro is the regular, not the
Okay,
not the 10 minutes. So
cool.
Me too. I didn't know.
yeah.
So
In fact, I was in Trader Joe's right before this class, and I saw it there. And
Oh,
I
did
thought,
you?
gee, should I get some or not? And I didn't because I have some already.
Got it. Cool. Well, take your time. There's no huge rush.
What is it supposed to taste like? Like, what is the consistency that we're going for? Is it semi-soft? Is it okay?
Yeah, it should feel like super crunchy inside. Think like barley, like if you have barley and soups and stuff. It's kind of going to be a firmer texture than rice, but it shouldn't be like hard or crunchy. Okay.
Did you say crunchier than rice?
Yeah, it doesn't get quite as soft as rice. It should have a bit more texture to it than that.
Okay.
Mine might be done.
I think mine might be close to done.
Yep, mine's done. Okay. So. Once it's done, you can use either like a slotted spoon to pull it out, or if you want to be quick about it, throw it in a colander real fast. Just what you're gonna do. And then you're gonna want to pull a serving bowl out and dump it right into a serving bowl. You're not actually going to serve out of this bowl, but this is just to mix all the ingredients together with. And the bigger, the better. We want this to cool a good bit before we add in any of the cucumber or tomato.
I just need to,
Don't really want to cook
I need
those.
to do this. Sorry.
So the bigger the bowl you spread out your faro in, the faster it'll cool off for the process.
Oh, I should be on mute again.
No, we like the commentary, Adele. I should be on mute.
So once I've strained it, I put it in a bowl. Is that what I heard? Yeah.
This.
Okay.
Yep. Got it all in
Okay.
your bowl. And then after that, we're going to get ready to season. So I'll give you all a minute to catch up with that piece, and then we'll talk about how we're going to season the faro next.
You were breaking up there a little bit.
I was just
What'd you
saying,
say?
we'll give everyone a minute to catch up with getting their faro out, and then we'll talk about
Okay.
seasoning it.
Okay.
Is this something that you rinse with cold water?
The faro before you cook it?
No, at this point. When
No,
you,
I do not actually. No.
just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it can make it gummier or stickier if you do that. I know some people do it to stop the cooking process, but I like to just let mine cool off on its own.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you mince the garlic, Kaytlin?
So that's the next step, actually. So you're going to take your teaspoon or so of garlic, which is about a clove or so, and you're going to mince that up, and that's what we're going to add into the faro next.
Into the faro?
Yes. We're not cooking the garlic in this recipe. So if you like a lot of garlic, feel free to add more. But it is going to have a bit of a bite to it still, since it's not cooked and it's raw. So just be conscious, you might not want to add quite as much as you would to your regular cooked meal.
I've had my kitchen assistant this whole time.
Yeah.
Kaytlin, I'm sorry, are we supposed to mince the garlic? Or chop?
That's awesome. So cute.
Kaytlin, are we supposed to mince or chop the garlic? I missed that.
I do mine in a garlic press, just easy button, mince it. But if you'd like to chop it up, you can totally do that too. Just, you don't want too big of chunks since it'll be raw.
Okay, and just one clove?
Yeah, so I measure out about a teaspoon or so for this recipe, give or take, just based on your preferences. This is about a teaspoon for me, and that was about 2 medium cloves, small to medium cloves. They weren't huge, so one large one will definitely do. All right. So it looks like everyone's back at their counter. So go ahead, and once you mince your garlic, you're going to dump that in right on top of your faro. You're going to take a lemon. You're going to cut that in half. And you're only going to use half of your lemon right now. You're going to use the other half for your shrimp in just a few minutes. But squeeze the juice of half a lemon directly into your faro. All right. You're going to season with salt and pepper to your own taste. Now, we didn't season the water before we cooked the faro, so if that means add a little bit more salt right now, feel free to do so. But just again, and then I know some people are careful about how much salt they intake, so if you want to leave that part out, there's plenty of other flavors in this recipe.
You guys, if my sister Chris were cooking right now, she would be adding 5 tablespoons of pepper.
Oh my gosh.
Shut up.
It's true. Am I right, Francine, or what?
Hey, like I always say, don't bring me into the sisterly
Oh,
life.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like my pepper. It's true.
Oh, now she admits.
Yeah, Chris is spicy, Adele is sweet. You know, you have the two.
Oh, Adele is sweet.
That's funny. So the last thing you're going to add at this stage, so you've got your garlic, lemon, salt, pepper. You're going to add your herbs to piquance. Does anyone else cook with this pretty often? Or no? Yes. Okay. This is a staple. I have my little pinch pot here, and I have salt on one side, and I actually have herbs on the other side because I use it so frequently. But I love this combination of herbs because it's a little bit more unique than your average like basil, oregano, thyme mix. What makes it more unique is it usually contains marjoram, dried marjoram, and dried lavender. So it has a more floral taste to it, which is really key in this recipe, I think. And this is also one of the major players that I use in order to pair wine with this meal, because the floral of the marjoram and the lavender will pair really well with these 3 wines that I talked about a little while ago. So the recipe calls for about a teaspoon of herbes de Provence, just sprinkled into your faro here. Once that's in there, then you'll mix it all together and we'll leave that to finish cooling. And again, if you don't want to measure it and you just want to eyeball it like I am, that is totally fine.
Right. Smells like tea, like a tea that I would drink.
Yeah, I mean, the herbs in this are really nice.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's, it's sort of a seasonal item there, but they have a really good deal on like a big, like a little container of herbes de Provence. And I try and grab it there, but you have a Sprouts near you, that's another really good place to grab it, and you can actually buy it in the bulk section.
You know, when I was at Trader Joe's, they didn't have it today. So it's good to know they usually do.
Yeah, it tends to come and go, but I do see it there every year for at least a few months. So,
where's the other place you like to get it?
Sprouts.
Oh, Sprouts.
Yeah, the farmers market grocery. I buy most of my spices there because you can buy them in the bulk section, and I have just these.
No more bulk section, ladies.
Because of COVID, did they take it away?
Right.
Bummer. I'm hoping it comes back afterwards, but we'll see. All right, so your faro should be all mixed up. It should look basically just like seasoned faro. We're gonna leave that to cool off, and we're gonna get our strips started. The reason we're not gonna add the cucumber and the tomato right now is if you do, the hot faro will cook your cucumber just a little bit, and it takes the like and the snap away from it. So I usually wait until it's as cooled off as possible before adding that back in. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on to the shrimp. I use ghee for this recipe. Is everyone familiar with ghee? Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So I just like the kind of richness that it provides with the shrimp for this recipe. Important to note is that there will be some leftover sauce from the ghee and the lemon that we're going to cook the shrimp in, and we actually pour that over the faro. So if you don't like ghee, or if you'd rather have olive oil or a different flavor in your finished product, feel free to substitute, but that's one of the main reasons I use it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go heat my pan over here, add about a tablespoon or so of this, and we'll get that going. Add in the juice of the lemon, and then we'll just saute our shrimp in the pan over there. Okay.
You're sauteing the shrimp.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, faux pas. I was cooking them while I was cooking the faro.
Oh, got it. Well, then you're a step ahead of the game. That's great.
But they were boiled, not sauteed.
Oh, really?
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't have the recipe. I just assumed, and you should never assume, right?
Yeah. The very last step is you're going to take your shrimp. The recipe calls for about 30 shrimp, like medium size. The ones I found are jumbo, so I obviously am not using 30 of those. But you're going to aim for about a pound of total, and this makes 4 servings in general.
Couple of questions. So how big of a pan do you want? Do you want just like a regular saute pan?
I'll tell you what I'm using. I'm using one of the standard all-clad. Yeah.
And shrimp, tails on or tails off?
I have tails on. It's really personal preference. As long as most of the shell is removed, that matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tails off.
Tails off.
Is that what you said?
Hello. Hello.
Tails on. Sorry, no. Tails on.
I mean, some people like to serve it just for looks. Sometimes it's just easier to keep it the way it is. So
Whatever we're putting tofu, what do we do with the tofu? Same thing. We just saute the tofu with
What?
Yes.
butter.
Yeah.
The faro is really good.
Good.
Sampling.
Somebody,
If you're subbing tofu or something else, really you can cook it to your preference. I know everyone has a little bit of a different take on how they cook their tofu. Flavor-wise, you can play off of the same flavors of lemon, or if you want to do it totally separate and just mix it in at the end, that's totally your call. Cool.
So we're gonna start sauteing, correct?
Yep, so I'm heating my pan right now. It'll be on low to medium heat. Nothing too hot. This part won't take too long at all.
Okay, here they go.
You want the tails off?
so Kaytlin, somebody wrote that if you leave the tails on, it gives more flavor. Is that true?
No, I know that like some people use the shells of shrimp, like where the little feet are and everything, as the base for seafood stock. So I know that there is flavor in that, but I don't know if just leaving the tails on when you cook shrimp really makes a huge difference. I've never noticed one personally, but it could also depend on the quality of the seafood too. Yeah. Cool.
Am I salting this protein?
Sorry?
Am I salting the tofu or?
Yeah, so you'll add
Okay.
salt and pepper to taste once you get it in there. Again, that's all personal preference.
Chris, can I add some pepper?
Yeah, I'll add a lot of pepper, please.
Okay.
Chris, what earrings do you have on today?
I think I have my sea glass earrings on, my different sea glass things.
Like
You know,
Chris?
you missed my I should have put them on, my orange traffic cones.
How many pairs of earrings do you have, Chris?
1 million.
That sounds about right.
Fran, I was trying to get Olive to come to this class, but you're still
Was it
working
too-
with her, right? Are you still working
Yeah.
with Olive? Yeah.
Yeah,
She's in
great.
Florida, you guys, but she's a
Protected.
weenie. What can I say?
Oh, she's so sweet.
She's a sweet weenie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. You can tell we're related. She's a sweet weenie.
Karen knows Olive.
Yes, I do.
Good old Olive. Good old Olive. I think it's personally, I think it's Florida. If you stay in
Yeah.
Florida too long, it can do something to your mind, and that's why she couldn't
Stop
come.
it, Chris. That's not nice.
Chris, there are other people on the line. What if
Yes.
they're from Florida?
Everyone could be from Florida on this call, Chris.
Everybody isn't from Florida.
I'm
No,
hanging
no,
in
you
Mexico.
Ooh, in
Oh,
Mexico.
that sounds nice.
I moved
Yeah, you
here 8.5
escaped.
months ago.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
to
What part? What part?
It's called San Miguel de Allende.
Of course.
Oh my
I
God, that's
love
beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful
so
part.
Danilo is working with me and I'm here and he can't believe I really did this. He
How
loves it. I did this.
exciting.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us from Mexico. We have an international attendee and participant. That's fantastic.
Internacional. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding though, because I'm about to move again to another incredible place. So all of my suitcases and everything are in transition right now. And I just thought I'd hang with you guys just to feel connected.
Where are you going?
I'm going to still be in San Miguel de Allende, but I'm
Oh.
going to be in a place that's absolutely incredible. So it'll be really cool. It's my next part of my journey.
Well, you
I think-
should maybe
Sounds
do our
like
next
fun.
culinary tour.
That's just what I was going to say. I think we need to have it out of her kitchen in a fantastic place.
It's
I
going to be a
agree.
good,
Great
it's going to be a
idea.
really good kitchen.
We'll be in
But
touch
meanwhile,
then.
I'm just enjoying watching you guys and eating miniature plums.
Miniature plums.
Yeah.
Kaytlin, are we supposed to put the shrimp in or no?
Yes, so go ahead and add that once you're heated up. I just put mine in a minute ago. Season with salt and pepper to taste. And then obviously you don't want to overcook your shrimp because then they'll get kind of rubbery and really crunchy. So just cook them until they're pink all the way through on both sides. Should be about 5 minutes or so, depending on the size.
And you didn't put lemon juice in there, did you?
Yes, so go ahead and add your lemon right now too when you add in the shrimp. So you should have your fat, whatever you're cooking with, ghee, olive oil, lemon, salt, pepper to taste, and then your shrimp. Okay. And then if you've got that part done, what you can do next is, if you have avocados that are ripe, you can go ahead and open up those avocados, and we'll use those for serving at the very end.
Can you make your camera, can you make your camera show it up close a little bit while you're doing the process?
I can definitely try. Let's see here. So hopefully you can see shrimp cooking down there, and I've got it seasoned. I'm gonna let it turn pink. This is a pretty crowded pan, I'll admit, but I'll let it turn pink on that side, and then I'll flip them all so they're pink all the way through, and then I'll pull them off.
Okay.
Is that helpful? Right. Meanwhile, check to see how your faro is doing, if it's cooled down or if it's still pretty hot. Mine's still pretty warm, so I'm gonna leave it another few minutes. But if yours is like getting close to room temperature, that's a good time to add in your tomato and cucumber and just toss that all together.
Okay. No, we are not sauteing the vegetables, correct?
We're not. Nope.
Okay.
So are we dicing the avocado?
I usually slice it. I'll show you here.
Wait, and the cucumbers, we leave round?
No.
Those are for your eyes, Francine.
Yeah, later for my spa.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're supposed to turn them into a triangle.
Yeah.
So once you've got your avocado cut in half, what I usually do is I just do thin slices like this while it's in the skin. Mine are pretty big right now, but I typically have used a little bit smaller of avocados, and I portion out 1/2 of an avocado per serving. And I serve that on the side, just slices on the edge of the bowl.
Oh,
And I'll
okay.
season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then as you're eating, you can scoop a piece of avocado or not have it, whatever your preference is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Kathy, you probably have avocados in Mexico.
Of course.
You should have sent us a care package full of them.
But they're all over California.
I always wanted to go to Oaxaca, and because they have cooking classes where you learn how to cook with spices.
Make mole, like mole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a great Oaxacan restaurant in LA that I could tell you about if you're interested.
What's it called?
Called La Madre.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, there's one off of, over by Olympic. Olympic and National, I think, are across the street. And there's another one in Torrance, actually. They opened the second location. So really good. A friend of mine actually owns it. Great drinks and absolutely delicious food. So, but it's all Oaxacan.
So are you ultimately adding the shrimp in with the farro?
It'll go on top.
On top.
Yep. So we'll portion things out in just a minute. We're getting pretty close here. But you'll serve your farro. We're gonna add some feta and stuff. And then we'll serve the shrimp on top and drizzle some of the sauce on that too.
All right, Kim, one more question. Should we take the shrimp out as soon as they're pink?
Yep. Go ahead and grab them off the stove so they don't overcook. You can just set them off to the side right now or turn off the heat and move it off the burner if that's good enough.
Long slice.
All right. Has anyone added in their cucumber and tomato yet? They're still waiting for farro to cool?
No, I added mine.
Now that I've been cooking more, I really like using recyclable or reusable bags, which Makes me feel good about myself.
What brand? What brand of bag is that, Fran?
Amazon brand, I don't know. Thai blue.
There's not, but I haven't found it.
Yeah, I just searched on Amazon and I've bought a few. Some of them are great quality, some of them are not, but I get a few uses out of them. But this Thai blue, TIBLUE, has been great. It seals well and it comes in different sizes, which is helpful versus just one size and you're stuck with that.
I see a Stasher brand bag, and they can go in the dishwasher too, which is really nice.
All right, so my shrimp is just about done, so I just cut off the heat. And I'll keep those off to the side while we finish up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in my cucumber and my tomato now, and I'm gonna mix that all together with my farro. And so I'll do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like.
Yes. Wow, Dell, look at that.
Nice.
Damn, I'm hungry.
And
It's 2 hours later here.
Oh my
That's not
gosh.
good.
if
Your
you're
mini
looking
plums
for
are
just a
not gonna
quick
cut
lunch
it.
or a make ahead meal, you could stop here if you didn't want shrimp and you just wanted to do the farro salad. This
Yeah.
will fit in the fridge really nicely, and it's a delicious side dish, or you can just munch on it for lunch if you don't want to. So that's how I will offer this. But you can see here, once you add in the tomato and the cucumber, it really
Gorgeous.
doubles the portion. And so you got quite a bit to work with.
Is there a lot of protein in farro?
There is, yeah. It's a lot of fiber too. It's really filling.
Good.
So it's a whole food and really healthy for you. So.
And you're not afraid of the gluten?
I'm personally not. I know that's a consideration that some others have, but I think that for me personally, as long as I know that I'm eating whole foods and that the gluten that I am eating is natural and not added or whatever to artificial ingredients, then I'm good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So you're gonna mix this all together. Now you have a choice here, and this is just personal preference based on your own tastes. I have 4 ounces of feta, portions out to about 1 ounce per portion. If you want your feta to be really mixed in and creamy with the farro, you can add it to your farro salad and mix it all together right here. But if you prefer the colder or like the actual bite of a chunk of feta as you're eating it, you can sprinkle it over the top. So it also depends if you're keeping all of your leftovers or enjoying it all tonight. So you can go ahead and make that choice. I'm going to do mine on the top. I kind of like keeping it separate, but if you want it to melt it all, then I would go ahead and add it into your farro right now. All right. And then what I'll do, since I'm adding mine afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and scoop out some of my farro salad into my serving bowl. And I'm going to add about 1 ounce of feta right on top of this. So there you go. You got some crumbled feta right on top. I'll go get my shrimp.
What part of Italy were you in to discover this dish?
Sorry, what was that? What part?
Yeah.
We just did the typical Rome, Florence, Venice. So unfortunately, I did not get to go to the actual Mediterranean and all of that. But some of the flavors that we did in Florence were sort of an influence.
Mm-hmm.
Really fresh, lots of herbs, and lemon, and just a really huge, Europe in general, such a huge commitment to really well-sourced foods.
Oh, yeah.
No artificial anything there. Everything
Never.
They truly. So that's what I try to go for as much as I can. If I wild shrimp and wild fish in general, never farmed. And so, all right. So what I've got here is I have my salad, and my shrimp are pretty big, so I only did.
Ooh, that is gorgeous. That is
Mm.
gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take some of my avocado that I sliced up, and I am going to just do like a little embellishment, if you will, on the side of the plate, so you can see it right there.
Ooh, nice.
I'm going to grab
Ooh.
a spoon, and I'm going to take some of the leftover ghee and lemon sauce that's in my pan still, and just do a spoonful of that over the top, just to give it a little bit more moisture.
I know, we're not supposed to taste it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then the last thing I do is I take some flake salt, sea salt. The Maldon salt flakes is what I use, and I just sprinkle those over the avocado. It's nice to have a little bit of salt on that, so it's not totally plain. And then that is your finished product. Pepper, that's perfect.
Pepper. Oh, it looks so good.
So
Woo!
that's what you aim for. Yay!
I got my tofu in there.
Wow.
Awesome.
Very,
I
very
love this dish.
nice.
I will put the leftovers, I'll pre-portion them and I'll put them in the fridge. I don't even heat it up for lunch the next day. You can just enjoy it cold right out of the fridge. You can make this ahead of time and serve it like at a backyard barbecue. So hopefully you've all learned an easy, flexible, versatile meal that you can all take with you as you head into summer. And pair it with some wine.
Thank
So
you.
tips and tips on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yep. So my Instagram handle is on my name right there. And so you can follow me there. And that's probably where I'm the most active, just posting my day-to-day stuff. Recently, it's been sourdough. I don't know if anyone else has gotten into that.
Everybody seems to have gotten into that.
Everybody's got their stock, or what do they call that?
The starter.
Yes.
Starter.
Yeah. So I'm deep in that hole right now. So if you want to follow along with that, you totally can. But that's where I post all of my updates. So every time I have a new article or blog post, I'll post there, and then you can click the link in my bio to go to my blog and read it. And like I said, I'll add this to the chat real fast. But this recipe is published on my blog already. It's been published for a little while. So if you go to the search bar at the top, just type in Mediterranean or farro or Mediterranean farro salad, whatever, and it'll pop up right there, and you'll see a picture of the dish.
Cool.
So
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. And I've actually never sauteed tofu. I get the sprouted, the sprouts or something from Trader Joe's, but I sauteed it with butter, which I've never done, and lemon, and it is really good. It's really tasty.
Great.
Yeah. So thank you. This was great.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Kaytlin, where did you
Wonderful.
get those big, huge shrimp?
Costco. They had,
Wow.
you know, when
nice.
the
I
seafood,
do.
yeah, so it was some
I get
wild
crab there a lot.
stuff there.
Their
Sorry?
crab legs are really good.
Yeah.
at Costco.
It's always
Ooh, fancy.
and there's scallops too, if they ever have
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, scallops would be a great substitute in this as well if you want a different type of seafood. So play around with it, have fun with it,
Yum.
adjust the proportions, but
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll do another one
Yeah.
soon. Thank
Great
you guys.
stuff. A lot of fun.
everybody.
Shout out.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thanks for joining.
Kaytlin,
Yeah.
you did awesome. Oh, good.